Doctor, good evening and thank you very much for your time. So, of course, the million-dollar question is when exactly are we going to start manufacturing our own COVID vaccines?
Yes, thank you, Sally, and thank you for having me. I must maybe just contextualize the announcement that we made by maybe just telling you and the viewers how we are looking at the response to COVID-19. So the first response is to assist where we can with the distribution of vaccines, and that's what we've been doing during this phase one rollout, and even with some of the AstraZeneca vaccines that ended up not being rolled out, but we've been partnering with the Department of Health as far as that's concerned. They are obviously having their own independent discussions with other manufacturers, Pfizer, J&J, and others that are likely to be supplying most of the vaccines this year and next year. What Biovac has been doing for many, many months, which is why it took us a bit of time to announce, is that we've been looking at having a partnership that would take us into the medium to long term. What is important is so that we just don't have a short sprint and we run out of breath and then that's it. What is important is that we need to establish capability that would take us into the future so that we have the full capability. So with ImmunityBio, they are already doing clinical trials in the US and in South Africa. The clinical trial started 2 weeks ago in Cape Town, and the clinical rollout is aimed at showing that it's safe and to be broadly protected. And I think that's quite important because they want to show that that it can protect against the current variant, future variants. So that's the first thing. Our transaction that we're looking at is to build capability to manufacture what we term active pharmaceutical ingredients, the APIs, that's the raw material. South Africa does not have that capability. And it's important that we start now building that capability, not only for COVID, but for future viral pandemics.
Yeah, that's
so
right. Because at the moment, I understand you do manufacture vaccines, but only the inactivated and the bacterial conjugate vaccine. So this is a real game changer. How soon are we going to be producing our own COVID-19 vaccines? Are we talking like 3, 4, 5 years? Are we talking maybe a year? Are we talking a few months?
Yes. So this initiative, if we have to hit ground, if we have to build today, it would take 2.5 years to build that facility, the active pharmaceutical ingredient facility. And now there's the other part, which is the downstream part, which we typically refer to as fill finish. And why we're not talking about fill finish at the moment is that ImmunityBio is testing the vaccine not only as an injectable, but also as a tablet. They're doing all that in the US as well. So it may end up being a tablet or it may end up being an injectable. So for now, we want to put our efforts on the API, which will be applicable whether it goes into a tablet form or whether it goes into an injectable. But whilst we are building this capability, should the product be successful, we can already start importing it from the US whilst we build local capability.
All right, and how soon might that be?
Yes, so they are currently in phase 1 clinical trials.
Right.
They'll be doing phase 3. Sorry?
No, I'm just wondering how soon it might come here. Just one sentence.
2022.
Okay, great.
So 2022.
No.
It all goes well.
I understand that these things do take a long time and that this is a really important long-term project, particularly if we have future pandemics. So it's really wonderful news because I'm sure it will create a lot of jobs as well. Let's move to the other aspect of what Biovac does, and of course that is storing and transporting vaccines. What vaccines, COVID vaccines, are you currently storing and how many doses?
So we have the AstraZeneca vaccine that was not rolled out, and we're waiting for Department of Health to finalize their discussions with the AU. So that vaccine is still in our warehouse in Johannesburg. And then we've been handling the J&J vaccine as it comes. So the J&J vaccine does not stay for long in our facility. Within 24 hours of it arriving, we typically turn it around. So we're actually not even sitting with the J&J vaccine. So as and when it comes, 24 hours, we make sure that it's on the road, but at the moment, it's AstraZeneca vaccine that is in our warehouse.
And that's 1 million doses, is that right?
That is correct.
All right. So what's the next batch of COVID vaccines? When are they arriving?
So the MRC is in touch with Johnson & Johnson, and in the next week there is a batch, I believe, that will be coming as well. I'm just not sure the quantities of hand, but in the next week there will be another batch that will be coming through, and again we will turn that around as quickly as possible.
And the Pfizer vaccine, when is that coming? Are you going to be storing that one as well?
Yes, we've been told that the Department of Health is finalizing the discussions with Pfizer. So we haven't been given any instructions yet around the handling of that product, but we believe that they are in advanced discussions or about to conclude. And following that, we will hear whether we will be able to handle it or not.
All right. Last time we spoke, Biovac was only contracted to handle this 3B clinical trial, Johnson & Johnson, so it was a short-term thing. Have you concluded your contract to do the storage and transportation of the phase 2?
No. So Department of Health is still concluding. So there was a bid that went out. They're still evaluating from my understanding. So it's not yet concluded. We're waiting for them to finalize their process, but it's a Department of Health process.
Right, so you currently do not have a contract still for phase 2 of the rollout, where we are expecting hopefully millions of vaccines.
No, we do not have it as of yet.
Does that present a bit of a problem? I mean, we're so anxious about the vaccines coming. We know there are delays in those vaccines coming here to South Africa. But just in terms of the logistics around storing those vaccines, gearing up, scaling up, which will have to happen so quickly once those vaccines start rolling in, isn't that a problem that you don't yet have a contract?
So I think it's not, at the moment, it all depends on when the vaccines are expected to flow, particularly the larger volume, Sally. So if they won't be coming, if they'll be coming a bit slowly in drips and drabs, we're quite flexible and agile in terms of doing that. If there was to be, a big bang approach, okay, that would be, pose a challenge. So I think the challenge would be how the flow of the products would be for phase 2. That would tell us whether it's a challenge or not. At the moment, we are not panicking at all. If we had to be contracted for phase 2, there is some preparation that needs to be made, that much I must say. But I think, we, over the past couple of weeks, we have tested our own system internally, and I think we can very, very quickly.
All right, so am I right then that you actually have no clarity from the Department of Health on when Pfizer's coming to South Africa or any other vaccines?
Yes, at the moment we do not have that detailed information.
All right, well, thank you very much, and good luck with the long-term project, which will eventually see us manufacturing our own COVID-19 vaccines, but some serious concerns there about the short-term planning and preparation for phase 2. That was the CEO of Biovac, Dr. Morena Makhoana.